Welcome back to Beyond What You See, the podcast where we highlight leaders, educators, and change makers who reminds us that vision goes beyond just the natural sight. Today we have the privilege of sitting down with Mr. Alexander Peete. Mr. Peete is a proud graduate of Marquette University, the Upward Bound program, the Student Support Service program. He worked here for a long period of time, really changing lives and helping people to find their place and their way. Mr. Peete is a proud graduate, and he of Milwaukee Tech High School. I think it was Tech and Trade. So let's welcome Mr. Alexander Peete to Beyond What You See.
Hey,
Welcome,
good
Mr.
to be
Peete.
here, Steve. Good to be here.
It's good to see you. We go back
Yes,
ways.
for a long
I
way.
remember many a years. I think you came down to Upper Bound in '78 or '79, and I was a year
Yeah,
behind you.
yeah, that's right.
So
So every bit,
go ahead,
now you
Alex.
say it's been a long time, Steve, and just for us to be here today is kind of like it's just wonderful.
Absolutely. You began your journey as a student at Marquette Upper Bound program and then student
Mhm.
support services later, and became a peer counselor. Then you was a professional counselor for Marquette Upper Bound program. Then you became a professional counselor for student support services. Then you became the associate director of student support services. How did those early experiences shape the way you guide students today?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Really, when I look back on that and I think about all those years, it really started off with my parents. Um, giving me my parents, my sisters and brothers. But for me, you know that I'm a very spiritual person. So my parents on this side and God on the other side, right, really directed my steps and telling me that you should go into this career because you have something to share with people. So I listened to them. Really, Steve, I want to just add this. I really started my career at Marquette when I was 13 years old because I was in a summer program at Marquette High School. So
Mm.
before I even got to Upper Mount. So I used to joke that I spent 40 years within 5 blocks. So I think, first of all, listening to God's voice because this is about Him through us. Secondly, listening to my parents, being thankful for my sisters and brothers, my friends, my students. Because Steve, what did they say? If you see a turtle on a pole, one thing is true, they got help getting there. And so it is my journey, but it's my journey through other people.
Great. You describe yourself as a guide, standing side
Yes,
by side with students to
that's
discover
right.
new ideals. What does what does that look like? In the classroom and advising students and working with students and mentoring students and be caring for students. What does that look like?
It looks like the word empathy, your ability to look at somebody else's journey or struggle, put yourself there, and then walk together with them. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of practice. It takes you being able to fall down, get up. I've been doing it for so many years. In fact, I was just thinking before the podcast that I've had the privilege of learning from and teaching every cohort of student from the age 13, starting in Upper Bound and starting in other schools that I taught at middle school, faith formation, all the way to people who are in their late 70s. Because Marquette back in the day had a program where people who graduated from the program could come back and sit in on a class. So when you're sitting there and you're teaching somebody who may be, especially this is true of MAT, somebody who may be 18, somebody may be 55 in the same classroom, how do you give them the vision of what you're learning? How do you, I'm a storyteller. And so I think, how do you make that story like important not only in their lives, important in what they live in their day to day? So that experience of being able to teach so many different ethnic groups, backgrounds, people with different sexual orientations, all that, to bring that story to them takes a lot of work and dedication, but also take you knowing that you are always a student yourself. And students won't learn from you until they won't care about what you're teaching until they first know you care about them. And one of the ways that I do that in all my classes and being an educator and a director is all that is bringing like a truth to people. And here's the truth. Um, I have great, what I call platonic love for you, love based on a friendship, but I can't do it for you. I used to, Steve, I used to say to students all the time, I can't want your degree more than you want your degree. And so the minute that I think a student is really trying hard, I'll stand next to them and I'll be there, when they fall down, when they get up. Whatever students want to do, I've been telling them this semester, if you want to stay home and raise your family, that's great. If you want to open a business, that's great. If you want to go on, stay in, MATC is 2-year. Marquette in Madison, I used to say, if you want to go on a 4-year graduate school, professional school, whatever your journey is, if you're willing to do it, I'm willing to be there with you as much as I can.
So I know you're a great storyteller. Tell us your story. How did little Alex get to be Alex, Mr. Pete today? Tell us your story.
Whoa. I think what happened, Steve, is that first I listened to my parents. Both of them have gone on, but they're still with me because sometimes I'm driving into the classroom and my dad is talking to me, spiritually, my mom, and they're telling me these stories that they used to tell me. So first is listening to my parents. Secondly is always, I was always a curious person. What makes this tick? Why is this important? So I think that curiosity. I tell students now, and I share with my own children, is that the most important card that you probably have in your possession is your library card.
Mm.
And so early on, I was in the libraries reading places that I didn't get a chance to travel, but I felt like I've been there. So listening to my parents, listening um, to God's vision for me, and then just going out there and trying. Along this journey, though, Steve, I fell down sometimes and got back up, but I have what is called I'm a very tenacious person. So if I'm down around 6, you better believe it, I'll be back up around 7. I've always been that way. So I think listening to my parent, listening to my Heavenly Father, learning from students, any good instructor, teacher, advisor, or director knows that this journey is not your own. The word through becomes very important for me, Steve. So it's through me, through another person, we extend ourselves and we grow. So I've always been that person. Going to school, I worked a lot of jobs and learned a lot from my jobs that I had. I even worked during college in geropsych ward at Milwaukee County Hospital, listening to elderly people, listening to their stories, empathizing with them. So I say, Steve, along the way, being tenacious, knowing what my vision was, and my vision was to always come together, listen to people, and give them hope for the next day. Human beings are strange in that way. We really need to know that that Friday is going to be better than Saturday. And if it can't be better, at least we won't get worse. And so giving that people that hope, they can make it. You can fall down, but you can continue to go on. And so that has been my story for the last 30, 40 years and all the positions I've had. And Steve, to me, the positions are titles. So it's good to be saying, "Oh, you're advisor, or you're the associate director, or you're the instructor." Those are titles, and those are wonderful. Now I put a lot of work into them, but really, what comes through is the platonic love, the love based on friendship. That you and I standing here together can do something greater than if we were alone. Steve, I think you told me a long time ago, or somebody told you, and I use it in class now. Um, Everything that happens in your life, you have a decision to make because no decision is a decision. But you know what the decision you have to make? Everything that happens. Now wrap your brain around this. This is mind-boggling. But everything that happens in your life with work and guidance is either going to make you bitter or better. The only difference is the I in between. So
Absolutely.
everything, Steve.
And
Can you wrap your brain? So that's the story.
you sticking with it. Everything will work together. It's the same sun that hardens clay that melts butter. Things can make you either bitter or better, but it's your choice, your response, how you deal with that thing. So that's so good, Mr. P. But Mr. P, can you tell me, give which animal do you identify the most with in the animal kingdom and why?
Now, Steve, you know the answer to this because I used to have about 400 of them in my office, and it's the elephant.
And
So
why?
right now, I always tease my students: if you want to, if you can't find me, go out to the zoo because I'm sitting and watching them elephants. And the reason why is this: the elephant, and my oldest son doesn't think this; he thinks it's the lion, but the elephant is really the king of the jungle. There's nothing that can stop a bull elephant. There's nothing, but we don't look at them. They're very strong and peaceful, but very powerful. Their families are matriarchal, so that means the oldest cow and her sister take care of the herd, while the bull elephants, they protect it on the outside. So that idea of being humbled, so to be humble is to know where your power comes from. Humble does not mean meek. They're not the same thing. Humble means that instead of getting mad today, I'll be quiet. Instead of getting upset at a student, I'll listen. Instead of saying, I know all the answers, let me go find out. So the elephant has always represented that for me, that gentle giant. Because only because you turn the other cheek and you're quiet does not mean that you are weak in the sense of someone can run over you. It just means that your wisdom and your power comes from another source. And what I learned back in Milwaukee Tech, way back a long time ago in electronic shops, is that when you're wiring a building, there's enough power to go through the building for everything. So you can either wire it series circuit, or series parallel. For those of you who are in the profession, you understand that. The only difference that makes that power flow is the resistors that you put. So my job in life is trying to lessen the barriers, lessen those resistors so people can believe in themselves and they can say, oh, I can do this. Oh, that's that guide part of me. I'm going to stand by side. Have you ever thought about opening a business? Guide. Have you ever thought about raising your family? And if you do that, that's fantastic too. Guide. Have you ever thought about going to graduate school? Guide. Because a lot of people have fear. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And if I do this, what does it mean? So we got to stand with them. And like the elephant does in the jungle, protects a lot of animals. Elephant protects the whole jungle. The lion makes the sound. Lions are powerful and beautiful in their own right. But it's that elephant that says to you, there's a way that the jungle is going to run. You may not see me running it, but I am.
To speak to people that played a huge role in your life, speak to
Mhm.
mentors and people that had a great impact besides your parents. I know your parents had
Yeah.
many conversations with you. Talk to Name for me two people that had a great impact on you, and how did they make that impact? How did they have that impact?
Well, Steve, I'm going to push back a little bit. I'm not going to name any specific people
Okay.
because I love so many of them, and so
Okay.
to name, but I'm gonna say I'm looking at one of them. I'm looking at Steve Robinson right now, and there's so many. I can start naming, and the people they know who they are because I call and I text with them, I eat lunch with them. I don't want to name specific people because there's so many of them, and I don't want people to think if I leave one of them out, they didn't make an impact on me.
Okay.
But let me tell you the groups of people. So, Steve, I'm talking to one of them. Your kindness, your ability to talk to me when I fall down, your ability to listen has a great impact on me. And we don't get a chance to say that to each other often enough. So, I'm not going to say all the other people that we know in the community because it's so many of them. I often say my family right now, Steve, really my wife, I shouldn't say my family, they're putting together 1,000-piece puzzle of all the states. So they just finished it, right?
Mm.
And so they had this big picture, my sons, my wife, and all of that. And I was thinking about all the pieces that came together in my life. Um, so many people at Marquette and Madison College, MATC. I can't even begin to tell you the kindness that I've seen at these institutions. So I want to thank all of them. And I know this is a cliche, but it really does take a village. It really does take everybody looking out for you. Pausing you. My college advisor in sociology, all my people that I work with in social sciences at MATC, at Marquette, my programs at Madison. So there have been so many people who added to me. I'm really a composite of all the love and help. And so what I try to do to pay back, Steve, is get up every day in the morning and try to extend myself to others and try to show them kindness and try to say, we're here together. One quick thing, Steve, when I'm in class now, I tell students just one simple thing. You are winning because you are here.
Mm.
Because it's easy enough. Just some days, all of us that roll back on that couch, don't get back up. And sometimes we tell students, you could be all of these great things, but sometimes they're winning just because they got up today. Sometimes they're winning just because they're taking care of their children. Um, they don't have to get all those degrees, right? Sometimes they're winning just because today they said hello to someone. And I always tell people if you don't have anything kind to see, because what people don't see is all the emails of students who are barely holding on. And I always tell them, don't say anything at all. If you don't have anything kind to say, don't get yourself mixed up in gossip. Don't get yourself in tearing people down. You wake up every day and you say, how can I inspire someone to do whatever is important for them? Um, so whatever, raising their family, to starting a business, to getting a degree, is important to them. So that's how I try to do it, Steve.
All right. I thank you so much. I know I've seen growth from you as a fellow classmate to being the young professional, to being the administrator, to being the husband, to being the single guy, but being the husband and the father. And you know what? God is good. That's the bottom line. God is so faithful. And
That's the greatest.
go ahead.
Yeah, the greatest role that I play too is husband and father. I mean, to do that role every day, you cannot tell me there's not something greater than us pulling us together.
Yep, and I would agree that sometimes we can see the breadcrumbs, how God's plan for our life. He got us here. We didn't just get here by ourselves, and we didn't stay here by ourselves. But it took the hand of God being evident in our life at our lowest moments, as well as when we was on the pinnacle, right, or the mountaintop. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say it's back to that turtle. And for the people who don't believe in God, who say to themselves, I don't have that belief system, you still have a role to play. You know what your role is? Is to be kind to other human beings that you see. Because one day we'll all know. So we will all know, right? So I always tell people you still have a role to play through your kindness, through treating people with empathy, no matter what religion, what background, or what lifestyle they're in. Your job is to show up to give them an example.
I'll be remiss if I didn't share this one story about Mr. Pete. We had back in the Upper Bound days, we had a student advisory council, and we was raising money to go take a trip, and we wanted to go to out east and look at a lot of the Harvards, the Yales, the Ivy League schools, and we was raising car washes, we was raising selling candy, and we
That's
raised
right.
money, and then we had a meeting and they were about to graduate, so they wanted to come in and try to convince everybody that they should take all the proceeds, just the rise and graduating seniors, and go on a trip. And all the underclassmen was
Right.
working so hard, raising money. And that's when I started to have my voice. I was stuttering, but I still had my voice. I realized that I had to stand up for myself, because if
That's
I didn't
right.
stand up for myself, there would be other people that would try to take advantage of us not standing up for ourselves. And that's when I started to learn it. But I learned it from Mr. Pete, because he was one
Yeah.
of those seniors that was trying to get the money and take the bag and go to on a trip by themselves. We just didn't allow it. Mr. Pete,
That's
how have you changed from that 12th grade Alexander Peete and your friends, David, no, David Leeser, and a whole bunch of them other ones? I forgave them, but I still remember. Can you speak to that, Mr. Pete?
Well, every day is that opportunity to become better, right? Every day is the opportunity to listen to someone, to become humble and kind. And so I think over the years, I started to look around and say, this journey is through me to other people, but it's not my journey, right? And so realizing that your way is not always the right way, your perspective is not always the right perspective. That's where we're called to do what? To come together, to talk to each other. We even we have to do this in the country today, right? So I'm learning from way back then, Steve. We had to come together and say, "No, Pete, this ain't right. We all need to go." I learned from that. And so when you learn from something and you could still show love to a person, our country needs that today. We need to talk to our better angels, not the angels that say, you go back to another country, you're not good, you don't like this. The only way we're going to make it in this country, and we know we can look at it right now, is that we start to talk to each other about our better angels. And you know what our better angels are? We may disagree on a lot of things, but our better angels is that we're not going to attack you. We're not going to have political violence. So, Steve, way back in Upward Bound, I learned that people's voices, their voices, right, are as powerful as the answer. In class today, I say the question is as important as the answer, right?
Mhm.
Um, in the Bible, our Lord always asked a question: do you want to be healed? Do you want to be better? So the question is always important. You posed a very good question to us back then. Why is the seniors just going and not the other classmates? And so to listen to that question, question came from empathy, it came from power, it came from your voice. It was able to change me. And so um, that's what we're here for. Our better angels, not the stuff that you know what I mean. Our better angels, right? Not the stuff that divides us.
And speaking back, going back to Upper Bound days,
Yeah.
I know we were in Upper Bound Math Science at Marquette University, and in the country these days, there's a attack on programs like Upper Bound Math Science. There's some people that think that these kind of programs aren't needed today. They would think that they're a relic of the past, and that people should be able to do it without it. Speak to that.
Well, the numbers don't prove that, right? The numbers tell you that if you invest in, we when we were in Upper Bound and we were in math science and we were in SSS, we had everybody sitting in that audience. Every person of different background, ethnicity, spoke different language, different colors. America is it's a I tell my students, and I said it's not ideal, it's an idea. So we have to work for a better country. The idea is this: if you're willing to work and you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to invest in yourself, we as a country will invest in you. There's a lot of people in this country who wanting people to leave the country, but they was benefit of all kinds of tax cuts. I worked up in Madison College, and I had it up in Fort Atkinson. I was telling the students, your parents worked hard, but they also had a farm bill. So when you explain it to them, everybody benefited from the United States experiment. Everybody does. And so, Steve, I just want to tell you that um, we need to keep pushing that message out, because now there's so much untruth. People never look at the actual facts. We believe in the oh, we don't need these programs anymore. They're not doing any good. But the program, more people in some programs benefited from Upper Bound and Math Science who happen to be white. So what about those first generation people who are living for the dream, living to have a better education, want to raise their families? And so we need to continue to show the numbers and show the stories. And I think America, um, we'll get there. We got to keep talking to our better angels.
Absolutely. I realized the Stephen that came in 13 years old, the Upper Bound, how Upper
Right.
Bound helped that process of romance in the stone. That process, I was a diamond in the rough, but I was a diamond sure enough. I had the potential and all the potential inside me, but I needed some people that was going to be warm to manners, that was going to pull out the greatness that's in me. And today we still need people to speak to young people. You know what? Because it costs a lot less to reach them before they get to the prison house than it does to educate them, lock them up, and deal with them in society. And we got to start speaking purpose, and we have to start speaking purpose and value and calling out the purpose inside of individuals, just like we had some people that told us to sit down, be quiet, and handle your business in the classroom. Get to class. And I know you would talk to your students. You were that warm to manner on campus at Marquette for a number of years, putting value and speaking purpose into all the graduates there at the student support services program at Marquette University. So, Mr. Peete, thank you for coming. Your journey reminds us that education isn't just about content, it's about companionship, it's about guidance, it's about mentorship, it's about speaking life in, speaking to those better angels, right? As you would say, from the days of your pre-college experience, from being an Upper Bound to growing up and being an educator, being a mentor, being a father, being a change agent that you are today. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you continue to do in changing and affecting the lives of so many people. So thank you again. Also, this is a man with purpose, and I've seen him develop in his faith, and I've seen him to step up and be a man of faith. And I appreciate what the process of growth in your life and how you continue to give back to other people. So we just salute you. So this week has been a conversation with Mr. Alexander Peete, Marquette EOP alumnus, longtime educator, a guide to many, a trusted guide, helping people to walk through and navigate through this world. Thank you, Mr. Peete. Any
Well,
last
thank
thing?
you.
Right.
Well, I just want to say,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
just thank you for the opportunity. See, thank you for the opportunity to speak to people today, and all of you who are doing the work, and you may not ever get an award for it, but we see you and we appreciate you. So thank you very much.
And thank you for all that you've done in the 20, 30, 40 years that you've been out here on a battlefield, working and fighting for equity, working and fighting for improvement and seeing, helping your humanity, right? Helping humanity. Thank you for it. Have a great one.
Okay, thank you.
Check us back next week. We'll be back next week.
Okay, Steve, I'm headed out.
Have a great one, Mr. Peete.
Thank you.
Mr. Peete.
Bye. Thank you.
Of course. We're still in a life.